Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. This video is supposed to come out a bit earlier, but whatever. It's late, but I'm here. So I've been catching up on some final 2022 films, and I'm well underway. It's homework that I'm overjoyed to do because not only does it bring me pleasure, but it also gives me serious creative juice. Anyways, I'm pretty late to the party with this film. It's been out for about 3 weeks, but finally I got to see Darren Aronofsky's The Whale. I'd say Darren Aronofsky is one of the most celebrated directors in the last 20 years. He's responsible for incredible films such as Requiem for a Dream, The Fountain, The Wrestler, Black Swan, Mother. There are a few of his films that I haven't seen, but his last film came out about 5 years ago. So it's always super exciting to have such a prolific filmmaker come out with a new project. Anyways, as I mentioned, I was about 3 weeks late to see this film, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that almost the entire theater room was full. It's quite surprising for such a melancholic and indie film-going experience. But as cool as that was, honestly, I was very confused by the crowd. For the first half of the film, the entire crowd was laughing. I don't know about you guys, but I find nothing to laugh at in this film. Any brief moments of genuine heartfelt comedy are instantly crushed in this film. The weight of this film feels suffocating, and everything about the film's aesthetic qualities reflects that sensation. For starters, The Whale was filmed in a 3:4 aspect ratio, which further heightens the sense of claustrophobia in the film's one location. And in terms of lighting, it is quite bleak and murky, and it evokes the sensation of this darkness and this humid atmosphere, as if the blinds were never uncovered or the windows rarely, if ever, opened. Add on top this seemingly eternal torrential rain raging in the background. All of this builds in this submerged and oppressive atmosphere which perfectly mirrors Charlie's mindset. Though the film is quite minimalistic, it is dreadfully effective nonetheless. Indeed, the theater roots are clearly worn on its sleeves. Writer Samuel D. Hunter adapted the screenplay from his very own 2012 play about an obese man who's mourning the loss of his gay lover and is literally eating himself to death. As I mentioned previously, the film happens almost exclusively in one location, Charlie's apartment. And in this place, you have a motley crew of interesting characters that come in and out of his home. And in hindsight, it does feel like a contradiction to have a supposed recluse have this much foot traffic in his home. That aside, The Whale has a surprisingly potent supporting cast. I don't think it's a stretch to say that a lot of Stranger Things fans may be coming here because, of course, Sadie Sink is here and she has quite the meaty role. But be prepared to be disappointed because she's an absolute monster in this film. She is an incredibly damaged soul that lashes out in the world in anger and through this deep sense of frustration in her life. I understand how she got to be this way, but it doesn't change the fact that I find her actions and her moral temperament to be completely deplorable. Honestly, she may be the character I pity the most in the film, which is something that I wasn't expecting going into this film. And to venture ever so slightly into spoiler territory, I don't feel that the film's script earns the right to this last-second moral redemption for Ellie's character arc. In theory, I appreciate the idea of finding this seed of goodness in someone and nurturing it, but once again, I just find her so dislikable as a character. And indeed, that transformation feels paper thin. And we also have Samantha Morton, who appears for a single explosive scene as the mother. Yet another damaged soul in this film. Beyond that, one of the more interesting characters in the film would be played by Ty Simpkins, who plays Thomas, this Christian missionary who aims to bring spiritual guidance into Charlie's life. Though there is a lot I appreciate about his character, I do feel that he is a bit of a mixed bag in his execution. That being said, he does have one of the most interesting character dynamics between him and Ellie. And honestly, it's not what you would think. These two characters yield some of the most interesting drama to be found in the film. And let's not forget Dan the Pizza Guy, played by Satyas Sridharan. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Anyways, he appears for very few scenes, but adds an unexpected layer of human interaction in Charlie's life. But by far the biggest surprise would be Hung Chao. She plays Liz, a nurse who happens to be Charlie's best friend, and she is there to take care of him. Her scenes are like dynamite. Her fury at Charlie's reckless behavior is a force to be reckoned with, but it's contrasted by an equal sense of tender love and care. Honestly, the dynamic between the two is incredibly nuanced and quite powerful. Frankly, I think she has a solid chance of getting a nomination at the Oscars for Best Supporting Actress, especially with her double strike in 2022 with The Menu earlier that year. Come what may, nomination or not, there's no denying in my mind that she is one to watch. With all that being said, I've left the best for last. It is the reason why everyone was so excited for this film, or at the very least curious to hear how this film will turn out. This, of course, will be the return of Brendan Fraser back into the limelight. It's been a minute since we've seen him in any major roles, for what feels like almost 2 decades at this point. So this really does feel like a resurrection of his career in many ways. And my god, what a return. It is a tremendous tour de force, towering, heartfelt performance. It is leagues beyond anything he's ever done this far in his career. It is his defining career performance to date. The nuance and depth of his performance is simply soul-crushing. And I don't think for one second that all the credit goes to the fat suit. Brendan Fraser explores Charlie's mental landscape with incredible nuance and grace. If there's one aspect of his performance that stands out the most for me, it's this haunting look in his eyes. There's so many moments that are just absolutely devastating for me to watch. Look no further than this example.
Need to know that I have done one thing right with my life.
Yeah, I agree, Cooper. Anyways, it is a performance that truly transcends the physical barrier, in my opinion. And of course, it's not just the emotional look in Charlie's eyes that holds a lot of weight. All the physical pain that Charlie is going through feels authentic and real. I think the part that struck me the most is Charlie's wheezing. Honestly, that was heavy to process. And as for the fat suit itself, honestly, my immersion was 100% intact. It's a pretty phenomenal job. And on that point, do I feel like this film is fat shaming? I know a lot of people think yes, it does, but I personally never felt that way. It's possible that that's just my own emotional temperaments that's coloring the experience for me. And even in that one shocking scene where Charlie goes on this insane eating rampage, I wasn't thinking like, oh my god, look at this fat guy. I was just thinking like, my god, your soul is in so much pain. I hope you find peace and solace in whatever is left of your life. And in the end, what I take away from this film is Charlie's willingness to see the good in people and to nurture that potential. And it's really a film about redemption and, in a way, forgiveness. I particularly appreciate those few scenes where he's a teacher. I think there's some splendid moments in there, most notably that epic mic drop moment near the end of the film, which is just so glorious words cannot describe. Now, with all that being said, if I do have any complaints on this film, it's mostly in regards to some pretty inconsistent character development. I think my biggest issue goes with Ellie, Sadie Sink's character. Once again, I just did not like her moral fiber at all. And I do feel that her progression is rather underdeveloped. I also feel that Charlie's relationship to his deceased partner to be rather one-dimensional and tacked on. I never felt any real foundation or substance towards it. We're just expected to believe it and witness the after effect of that morning. Brendan Fraser does give a harrowing performance in that regard, but that other half feels rather void. Finally, I do have some mixed feelings about that Moby Dick essay that has a recurrent presence throughout the entire film. I appreciate the sentiment and I see how Charlie can relate to it. I can't help but feel that the integration of this essay into the film's plot feels very gimmicky. I thought we were going one way with it, and at one point we realized, oh no, there's actually quite a twist to it. Which in a sense, you know, the twist worked because I didn't see it coming. But when it did happen, I did have a bit of an eye roll moment like, oh, that's where we're going with it. I see now. I don't totally hate it, I don't find it deplorable, but once again, it does feel gimmicky and it feels artificially contrived. If for no other reason, it just reminds me once again that I do need to read Herman Melville's classic. Some of my subscribers might remember that in my Blood Meridian video, it is my intention to read this book in the near future. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but it is on my desk and it is absolutely one of the next books I will be reading. Alright, to wrap everything together, I am all there for the Brennaissance. It is an incredibly exciting time to be a fan of Brendan Fraser, and I can't wait to see what his next creative endeavors will be. If I'm not mistaken, next up is that Martin Scorsese project in 2023, The Killers of the Flower Moon. My god, what a sequence. The Whale and Martin Scorsese? Brennaissance it is. I'll take it. If I had to score this film, I'm probably averaging around an 8 out of 10. But if I do factor in some of the more inconsistent character development and weaker plot lines, maybe I would bring it down to a 7 out of 10. Regardless, it's a remarkable film in many ways. It's minimalistic, but potent. And honestly, by the end of the film, I was fighting tears back in the cinema. It is without a doubt a gut-punching film-going experience, and in my mind, a standout of 2022. And that is all for today. Like I said, sorry for being late with this one. Usually I do want to put out a video at least once every week. It has been more than 7 days now, but fear not, more videos are on their way. So, as always, wishing you and your family nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.